Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing a Dragonmaid deck profile. So this deck is a really cool deck that basically summons out Dragonmaids and then they transform into dragons. It's a really cool deck that actually has some really amazing fusion monsters in the deck, like your House Dragonmaid and her dragon form, which is really cool, and it's an entirely waifu-based deck, which is a plus. It's a big plus. It's a really cool deck and has some of the most beautiful artwork in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And is just a really awesome deck to play around with. If you guys have never seen Miss Kobayashi Dragonmaid, this is essentially Miss Kobayashi Dragonmaid deck. So, without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile just like this one every single month you are a patron, along with test hands. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So, first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Chamber Dragonmaid. So she's really neat because all of your Dragonmaids share the ability that they're normal or special summon, you get a particular effect. So if she's normal or special summon, you get to add a Dragonmaid spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And at the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to your hand, and if you do, you get to special summon a level 7 or higher Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard, which is a really, really good effect. All of the level 4s, which Chamber's the only level 4, her effect, all of them, she just lets you special summon 7 or higher, which is really good. She's the most versatile of all of them. The copies of your Dragonmaid level 3 monsters, like Kitchen and Parlor, let you special summon 8 or higher, and then your copies of Nurse and Laundry let you special summon level 7s, which is pretty cool. I like that. They basically let you tag into their dragon forms, which are always level 7 or 8s. We then play 3 copies of Dragonmaid, Kitchen Dragonmaid. Kitchen Dragonmaid is really cool because if this card is normal or special summon, you get to add a Dragonmaid monster from your deck to your hand. So spells and traps and monster adding, which is pretty good. And then she lets you tag into a level 8 during the battle phase, at the beginning of the battle phase as well. And then we play 3 copies of Parlor. Parlor is pretty cool in the deck too because if this card is normal or special summon, then you can send a Dragonmaid from your deck to the graveyard, which is going to help you out a lot with cards like your Dragonmaid Hospitality. It's going to help out a lot with cards like Hospitality, and it's just going to help out overall just getting some of your Dragonmaid cards in the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Dragonmaid Nurse. Dragonmaid Nurse is really cool because when she's normal summoned, she actually brings a Dragonmaid that's level 4 or lower back to your side of the field. So she revives them just like a nurse would. And really, really good effect to help you link summon or to go in during the battle phase with multiple dragons. We then play for the dragon forms. We're going to be playing a single copy of Dragonmaid Lupar. Lupar is good because she's actually your Parlor's Dragonmaid's dragon form. She cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control a fusion monster, and you can only use her effect once per turn. And you can discard this card and then target one face-up monster on the field, and players cannot activate that target's effects on the field this turn. And then at the start of at the end of the battle phase, you can tag her out to special summon a level 3 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. So once she returns at the end of the battle phase, she calms down and she turns back into her regular form, which is pretty cool. We then play 2 copies of Dragonmaid Txne. Txne is really good because she's kind of like a battle trap. You can quick effect discard her and then target a Dragonmaid monster you control, and it gains 2,000 attack points, which can get your copy of House Dragonmaid all the way up to 5,000, which is pretty good. And at the end of the battle phase, you can return her to the hand if you do special summon a level 3 Dragonmaid. So the 8s tag back into 3s, and the 3s tag into the 8s, and the 2s tag into 7s, and 7s tag into 2s, essentially. So then we play 3 copies of Dragonmaid Ernest. Ernest is pretty good because you can discard her, a quick effect, to special summon a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand, and then at the end of the battle phase, you tag her out for a level 2. Then we play 1 copy of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. It did get eroded, so you can only use its effect once per turn, unfortunately, but it's still a really good card to get that 1 special summon per turn. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is really good in the deck because it just stops your opponent from all sorts of shenanigans. It helps out quite a lot to just stop your opponent from whatever they're doing, and it's just really nice overall. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance is a neat card in this deck because you really only need, in a pure Dragonmaid build, you really only need House Dragonmaid and your copy of the Fusion Monster of House Dragonmaid, and then your copy of the Heretic Sphere. Now, everything else in the extra deck is kind of just added bonuses, like Access Code Talker, your Boral Swords, your Boral Loads, and stuff like that. Those can be all interchanged. If you're missing one of them, it's not the end of the game. You can still play as long as you have your 2 Fusion Monsters. As long as you have these 2 monsters to go off of, you're all right, in my opinion. And from what I've playtested the deck, it's pretty good with the Extravagance, because it's going to get you 2 more draws and dig you deeper into this deck. Then we're going to be playing 2 copies of Call by the Grave just to stop our opponent from hand trapping us. It's really nice to stop our opponent from hand trapping us in this deck. 3 copies of World Legacy Guard Dragon. Essentially, this is a Monster Reborn for Dragon monsters that are level 4 and lower. It's really helpful to be able to just ditch this card, or to activate this card and then get a copy of one of your dragons that are in the graveyard. And also, it lets you target a dragon monster you control and move it to another zone, which helps out with your Guard Dragon plays, which is a little bit helpful. You don't use them quite as much in this deck, but it's still pretty helpful. We then play a single copy of Dragonmaid Welcome. Dragonmaid Welcome's really good because if all monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each Dragonmaid monster you control. If you control 6, they gain 600 attack points. But the really cool effect of this card is if you can control 2 more Dragonmaid monsters, you can target a Dragonmaid in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is going to help you get your abilities off even more. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot target your Dragonmaid monster you control with card effects this turn. We play 2 copies of Dragonmaid Changeover. Changeover is really good in this deck because it lets you fusion summon a dragon fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand or field as fusion materials. And then while this card's in your graveyard, you can target a Dragonmaid monster you control and add this card back to your hand. If you do, return that monster to your hand as well. Which means you can just use that monster as a fusion material for Dragonmaid Changeover to go into your House Dragonmaid, or even better yet, her fusion dragon form, which is what you're always going to go for first nowadays. And then you're going to downgrade back into House Dragonmaid, or upgrade. Then we're going to be playing a single copy of Dragon's Mirror. Dragon Mirror is really good in this deck because you have the copy of your House Dragonmaid that if you have 2 dragons in your graveyard, any 2 dragons, she just requires a Dragonmaid and another dragon. So essentially, any 2 of your monsters in the graveyard is beside your Ash Blossom. You can fuse away and then go for a copy of your House Dragonmaid or her Dragon Fusion form. We then play 3 copies of Dragonmaid Hospitality. Dragonmaid Hospitality lets you special summon a Dragonmaid monster in your hand or graveyard in defense position, and then you can send a dragon monster from your deck with the same attribute but a different level from your deck to the graveyard. And you can only activate 1 Hospitality per turn. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2, and that is going to be 2 copies of Dragonmaid Tidying. Tidying is something that I really like in this deck. It lets you target a Dragonmaid monster you control and a card your opponent controls, or in their graveyard, and return them to the hand. So it lets you bounce a card. So your opponent has that one really pivotal card that they need on their side of the field. You can hit it, bounce it back to the hand, and compulse it, and then get your Dragonmaid back to your hand so you can then normal summon it again and get its effect off again, which is really good. And then also has the ability that you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. So during your turn, you can just get that plus off. If it only had that first effect, this card would kind of be stuck. This card would kind of suck and you just play Compulse over it if you wanted to do this. But with it having that second effect to special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard is really nice to be able to just get another Dragonmaid on your side of the field that then triggers their effects, which gets you more card advantage, which lets you go off even faster. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So since it is an extravagance build, you don't have to play all these cards because you might end up banishing them if you want to make the deck even more budget, which the deck is already insanely expensive at the current moment. But if you want to change any of these cards out besides the fusions, you can. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of House Dragonmaid. House Dragonmaid is the big card of the deck that you're going to be summoning along with her fusion, or her dragon form. But what this card does is once per turn during the standby phase, you can target one of the Dragonmaid monsters you control, and then you can special summon a Dragonmaid monster in your hand or graveyard in defense position whose level is 1 level higher or lower. And then when another face-up dragon monster you control is returned to your hand, then you can target a card you can target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Now that's every time. If I control 3 Dragonmaids on the field, and she's on the field, and at the end of the battle phase, I haven't destroyed any of your monsters because they can't be destroyed by battle or something, or I can't beat over them because they're too big, I can bounce all 3 of my Dragonmaids back to my hand and summon out their regular forms, and then pop 3. That's pretty good. We then play 3 copies of her dragon form as well, which is really good in this deck too, because her effect is during each standby phase, you can special summon a level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard, and when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can quick effect, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Also, after this card returns to the returns this card to the extra deck. And if you do, you can special summon a House Dragonmaid from your extra deck, which is really good because she tags out into House Dragonmaid off her own effect to be able to then pop a card, which is pretty good too. We then play a single copy of Boral Sword just to help us with OTKs. 1 copy of Access Code Talker. You can kind of pick between these two. If you want to play 2 copies of Access or 2 copies of Boral Sword, you can. I like playing one of each because they're really good and they're really good OTK makers. Both of them are. And it doesn't matter if I banish Access Code Talker, it's fine. If I banish Boral Sword, it's okay. As long as I'll hit both of them, I'm fine. We then play a single copy of Unicorn just to balance cards on our opponent's side of the field. Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and Cerberus to pop monsters, and 4 Access Code Talker. 2 copies of Hermetic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. This card's really good because it lets you spin cards on your opponent's side of the field. It's a really good first turn play, and it's very defensive because once per turn, once during your opponent's turn, you can, if this card's in your extra monster zone, you can quick effect, tribute a monster from your hand or field, and then return 1 face-up card on the field to the hand. If you tribute this card, then you can special summon a dragon monster in your hand or deck, but make its attack and defense 0, which then can trigger your Dragonmaid's effect that you special summon off of this effect, and then if your opponent goes to the battle phase, you can special summon a Dragonmaid off of that effect, which is pretty good too. Then we play a single copy of Elpie and Pisty. If either one of these get banned on the ban list, definitely check in the comments down below. We'll tell you guys what to do, but I don't think they're going to get banned, but they might. One of them might, but basically they'll let you special summon your red MD and get multiple effects off the red MD, but you can't do it anymore kind of consistently because red MD got errated. But it's still pretty good to be able to special summon Dragonmaid cards in the deck. So I play them a 1 each. They're not super important to the deck and to me anymore, but they're really good just 1-ofs because you can summon out both of them with your Hermetic Spheres and then summon out other cards, which is pretty helpful. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a super fun deck to play around with. I highly recommend that you guys give this a try. It's super expensive. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. This deck, it can range of upwards of about $1,000 because of the Kitchen Dragonmaids being like $100 a piece, or I think they're like $70 a piece right now, and the Nurse being like between like, I think she's like 25 to 50, something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the cards in here are pretty expensive. So if you want to try it out, definitely try it on Yugioh Pro, or if you're really committed to this deck, definitely try it out first with a deck profile like this, and then see if you like it before you commit to that big buy. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.